for the Magnus Carlsen show. G4 on the board, certainly a move that Nodirbek couldn't have expected. Yeah, that's also a surprise element, and I believe that Magnus in this regard might have tremendous respect for the team of Nodirbek, Fabiano and Vincent. He wants to get them out of preparation, and it's a very clever strategy, yeah, because he was the one who probably spent 10 minutes on thinking about G4, and it might be a complete surprise to Nodirbek.
We saw him sitting by himself at the start as well. He wasn't analyzing with any of the players, so trying to counter these ideas. He calls it the anti-young player chess when he's playing standard chess, and maybe it's some of that as well in freestyle as well, taking away some of the key ideas for black to open up the position like f5, and also the concept, what we've been talking about, the recurring theme of pawns ahead of the knight. Once that knight lands on g3, because of this pawn, you've got such a nice hold on the position. The knight feels a lot more stable on the g3 square. So Magnus there, well, it's hard to say getting in a surprise in this format because everything's a surprise. But definitely G4 was not even on our radar.
No, not at all. Yeah, you are automatically focused on the most natural moves, yeah, and the central moves are kind of the most natural every time. I believe also maybe if the boards are ready, we could be having a bird's eye view just to see that what kind of first moves did we see in the other games.
We will try to bring up our bird's eye view really soon, Peter, to get the first look into the positions. But meanwhile, I want to turn to Nicholas. Nicholas, a move that's taken us by surprise. Looks like something that Magnus had in his mind when he was sitting by himself. What is your take on 1G4?
It has certainly taken us by surprise, and probably also Nodirbek, who's taking a first think here. G4 in the first move. It wasn't on our radar at all, and to be frank, it's also not the engine's preferred choice. The engine would have liked to go either f4 or e4 in this position, and I think we have at least one game with e4, or I believe even two. And g4 was not on the radar because it is not fighting for the center squares, and it's also a bit odd to me that you want to try maybe to involve this knight first on g3, maybe, as Peter was saying, to stop any f5 action. And well, Nodirbek has different choices now. Tanya, you always like to point out the hanging pawns in a position, and there are actually two, the pawn on g7 and the pawn on b7. And if a bishop or a queen lands there, it could be quite unpleasant. So this is also something to watch out for. G4 on the board, definitely we'll see a very different approach in the different games here. Magnus certainly.
structure. White has this monster knight on d4, and the other knight find a way also to jump in, join the party, knight d6. Knight e6 is about to be delivered. There is no time left for Nodirbek, but it's not about time at all.
The recurring theme in today's matches has been knight retreats. Peter, we saw it with Ali Reza as well, making that knight retreat, winning on the spot, eventually ending up a piece. Vincent did the same, pinning his opponent's knight with that knight retreat to d7. Magnus's knight c2. Sure, this looks really beautiful, but that's when this entire situation started. That knight from b4, when it went back, the pawn from b2 taking control of the c5 square. And then just this masterful play by Magnus, jumping around, giving up the bishops at the right time. And it comes down to that critical mistake of Nodirbek allowing White to trade on b6. But Peter, what a crazy game it's been. Easy to miss. And right now, Nodirbek down to a minute and a half on the clock. And it doesn't matter. No matter what time he'd had, it was not going to be enough in this position.
Yeah, not at all. It's basically impossible to find the move. And he's just getting crushed in the next couple of moves. Yeah, knight e6, knight c5, and then this knight d6 checkmating idea. It's just unbelievable that we see the move, we see the threat. We have 2 or 3 moves time to figure out something against
and that's it.
Handshake.
Nodirbek resigns. There's nothing to be done. Magnus Carlsen takes the first win with the white pieces. An absolutely crazy battle. Insane from the start. Super complicated. But the world #1 prevails. The old god stays strong.
Yeah, it was a stunning positional masterpiece. Yeah, I feel like it really deserves an applause, because so masterfully combining all the forces, and finally, when you look at every single picture of this game, it connects. Yeah, it simply connects. And whenever this happens, I feel that this was a stunning game.
And it was so stunning that the players, they want to analyze, they want to get into the depth of it. And we've seen Magnus Nodirbek have these big fights, these complicated battles. And there we see them finally leave the board. And it was at this moment that it got decisive. Peter Nodirbek had to not allow a takes b6.